And this is something I learned from James Redfield, who wrote the Celestine Prophecy, 30 plus million copies sold, probably knows a thing or two about writing. And by the way, that wasn't his only New York Times bestseller, so it wasn't like the fluke book or anything. And one of the things James does is when he writes a book, he'll pick 50 people. He'll talk to 50 people, and he says, "Do you want to be my reader?" And basically, what he does is he sends it out to that person, the book, as where it's at this point, not fully done or not fully written or what have you, or not edited for sure all the way. And he'll say, "I want to know what parts you dig, but I also want to know when you stopped reading." And what he's trying to find out is the stuff that's not a page turner. So he gets those people to report back, when did you stop for supper? And they'll say, well, yeah, but I was hungry and we stopped for supper. Because it doesn't matter. I want the book to be one you can't put down even when you're hungry. So I need to know where that stopped. Or this didn't make sense to me. Like, I didn't understand what you meant by this. I didn't understand this later. But what he did, though, is he kept getting them to come back with all their feedback, 50 people, until the book was 50 of them that couldn't put it down and wanted to pass it to their friends. And so what I'm going to say to that is you can now do that digitally easier than ever before. If you don't have the 50 friends you want to do it with, go on a place like Fiverr or 99 Design or Upwork or one of those freelance sites. Pay each person $20 to read and give you feedback on your book. If you pick 20 people, that's $400. Pretty sure $400 is worth it to figure out what's not working in your book.
Wow.
And that's one thing that James did that I learned from him. And I did it, by the way, my newest book, The Enlightened Passenger, not even out yet. I literally have like 40 people that are reading it now, giving me feedback. The one thing I'm challenged by, Kelly, and I could take this as a compliment, but I'm one of those people like a speaker. I'm like, yeah, but what didn't work? And a lot of them come back and said, I couldn't put it down. It was great. I'm like, but I can't use that. I need to know there's got to be stuff not working. And that's the challenge. And maybe that's the problem of picking people that know you well. Maybe they're scared to, or maybe they can't even see something that's not working because they like you so much or whatever. But that's something I'd recommend. And then the last one is James also did this thing, which was powerful, is he drove around to 2,000 bookstores, and whoever was in the book at that time, he felt that was a synchronicity that they were there. So he gave them a free copy of the book. But what's really powerful about that is it included the person that owned the bookstore. So if you think about that, marketing wise, the person that owned the bookstore, every one of them got to read Celestine. What do you think they did? If they loved the book, they put it right on the front counter. And that way, when people came in and said, what book should I get? You got to get this one. So he had 2,000 bookstore owners recommending his book. Obviously, the book, it sold 1,000 a week to 5,000 to 10,000 to 20,000 to the point where they eventually couldn't keep up. And so how you can do that in today's world, maybe those 2,000 bookstores don't exist anymore. But think about when you do a podcast tour. So a lot of people do a podcast tour for their book, but the person that's interviewing them never even got a copy of the book and doesn't know any context from the book. So they're just like, hey, tell me about your book. So get it out to those people, top bloggers. What I'm saying is do the virtual version of what James did and get the book. It's like we used to do it with advanced reader copies, right? Do advanced reader copies and send them out to all the top people. One of the things I plan to do for this next book is I plan to send it to Oprah's book club and Reese's book club. And I've done a lot of work to figure out who runs Oprah's book club and who the lady is that accepts all the books. And so what I'm saying is, why not go there? Like, that to me is the equivalent of James's bookstore, because if Oprah said, I like this book, everything changes that minute.